Let's go make some money. What's up, Jess? What's up, Dave? Yeah, this is going to be very short, but I wanted to get a little something together so people can understand how to money-making game if they so choose. It is quest independent, so you could do the same strat regardless of quest. You could even farm money for it the same way, or you could farm it in a level. So multiple options here for success. So the concept here with money making game is you need 10 rupees, you need a bomb, and you'll probably have a sword, but you don't have to have a sword. And I'll show 2 ways for doing it. So just so you know, swords here, money I farmed by level 1, and the money making game is on this screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to save our game. And the key to my method, or it's not my method, but the method I use, is after you press reset, you want to get a start press in before the screen starts to color up with the gold, title screen like this. And you also want to get a second press in following it before you really see anything from this screen. So reset, you want to do a start before this colors up, or as it's coloring up, like you have like 1 or 2 frames maybe. And then you want to get a second press before this screen shows the select screen. And it's not like a mashing thing, it's more of a timing. So reset, press, press. I was a little too early. Reset, press, press. A little too early still. Reset, press, press. You hold left and you go up a half tile. You want to paste the bomb on that grid line between those 2 tiles. To get the second money making game, you exit, you sword, and then you sword again, and you re-enter. 2 wins. So I'll do it slow. These results are probably going to lose, but I want to just explain the perfect movement, and then we'll go from there. So again, the reset, press, press. That was good. On this screen, you want to go up here before transitioning. This impacts the Tektite spawns in a positive way, so it's going to save you the chance of getting wrecked. Next thing is you want to stay on this row right here. If you go up half a tile, it messes up your bomb timing, so you want to stay on this row. So you're going to exit the screen on this half tile. You're going to get up to this row somehow. Doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you're not losing frames. And you want to drop the bomb, if you've done all that correctly, right on this intersection between this block and this block. And you could do that just like bam. There's one pattern where you'll have a Tektite that's parked right here as you're getting ready to bomb, and it's going to fly off to the up left of the screen. If you get that spawn, you want to place a slightly earlier bomb. See how that's a couple pixels left of that? You can adjust your timing slightly if you're off by bomb placement. It takes, I believe, 12 frames, which is 0.2 of a second, per tile you walk. So depending on where you put your bomb, you give yourself in increments of 2 frames, one way or the other. The 6-stab worked well enough for you? Perfect. That's awesome. So again, the method, the non-Nintendo DS method is reset, start, start. That was a little late, but we could correct it probably by placing an earlier bomb. So if I was to bomb this open, I'd bomb about right there and call it. So just so the movement is pixel perfect. Hold left after reset. Walk up a half tile before transitioning. Get up to this row somehow. You could staircase, you could go, left and up. And then you want to bomb 1 pixel past that, right there, right on that tile. So mechanically, The prize for this is set every 4 frames. So every second there's 15 different money-making game results. Some of them are redundant, so you might have an instance where over a 8 or 12 frame window, you have the same result, but it's just because it's rolling the same. It's not because it's extended. Once you're in the room, you could lose an infinite number of frames before you pick up the item, and the result won't change. But if you're going for multiples, when you go to pick up the rupee, you want to pick it up as low as possible. And some people do it differently than I do it. So let's pretend we got in there good. They walk up and then right and then down. Like that. Because that's frame perfect every time, because Link only turns on the full or half tile intersections. And so if you are walking up and turning right, it's going to be consistent every time. Whereas what I do, just because I'm used to it, is I do a typical grab like you would for the sword. And I know where to position myself on the rupee before I turn around. And so when you come out of the cave, assuming you're pixel perfect, the lowest you can walk and doing your 2 stabs is this. Or you could be 2 frames or pixels above that. So what I do is I buffer a stab, and then I stab on the way up. So I stab on the way down immediately, just for timing purpose. And then I stab on the way up to stop my movement downward and force me to turn around. So it's like a double buffer. One's to give myself maximum time before the second sword slash, and the second slash is to stop my downward movement so I could buffer and up press to go back into the cave. So what that looks like is stab, up stab, boom. And if we were on frame perfect timing, that would be a win, but we won anyway. So that's how to get 2. In most categories in second quest, getting 1 is enough to get the early candle. But if you get a second one, then it kind of starts to pay for your mugger rooms if you want to. So we'll do it in full one more time. That was too early on my start presses. Too early. Too early. That was a little too late. So if you're walking here and you've already bombed the hole open, all you have to do to compensate is 2 stabs. And that's enough. And then same mechanic coming out. So that's how you do it. And like I said, it's not frame perfect. It's a 4 frame window. And some of these are double wide, so they're 8 frame windows, but I wouldn't try to, consider that. I would just focus on what you can control. If you're frame perfect and you're walking, if your bomb placement's precise or your sword slashes are accurate. And for the sword slashes, like, the positioning's irrelevant. I recommend doing them on the second screen though, for tech type pattern purposes. You could even be up a half tile, it doesn't matter. The goal is just to time it out. My start presses weren't good, so this is not going to be a winner. You'll notice, though, sometimes that you might get a result where it's 10, 20, 10. Or you might get a left or right 50. And if that's the case, you'll know that you're either 1 block of 4 frames off late, if you get one of the 50s that are left or right. And if you get the other 50 that's on the side, you're 2 blocks off, so 2 chunks of 4 frames. If you are the fastest possible, or your bomb place is really early, like say you place your bomb like right, not even right there. Let's get these guys out, right? Like right there even, like you'll get a center 20, and that means you were a set of 4 frames early. So the way the first win works is there's a set of 4 frames that gives you a 20 win in the middle. There's a set of 4 frames plus another set of 4 frames that's a 50 winner. And you have 2 sets of 4 frames that have a left or right fail. So that means you either gridded or you placed a late bomb. And then if you do the mechanic of the exit, there's another 8 frame window of getting the second win, like that. So that's how to get 2 wins. To get a 3rd win, you basically have to pixel perfect repeat step 2. And if you pixel perfectly repeat step 2, you'll win again for a 3rd win. So you do the first one, do the second one without any mistakes, and do a 3rd one exactly like the second one without mistakes. And that's money making game. One last time, reset, press. I was too early on my second press. Reset, press. Little too early. Reset, press. There we go. Beautiful. Walk, strafe up. Go up. 2 stabs. And we're in there. I'm just going to do what I know. This. Buffer. That's too low. We might still get it, though. Because I think I was on the early frame rule. Yeah. So like I said, because we are dealing with 2 4 frame-wide frame rules, depending on the frame rule that you started on, like your start press has a width of 8 frames. I guess that's the logic. So if you're on like 1 through 4 of that, your walk down that's buffered can exceed this a little bit. It could be, I think, as low as this if you were like on a very early frame rule. But if you were on a later frame rule, you need to be here or here. So it's just a bit of nuance. Once you start to do money making game, you'll notice which tech type patterns correspond to a later or earlier frame rule, because you'll see when you place your bomb to open it, if it's not pixel perfect like that one is, if it's off by a pixel, you might get either fail case. You might get a 20 middle or a 50 on the flank, and just keep like a mental catalog of those, because you'll start to realize, oh, I need to place my bomb a hair later. I need to do my 2 sword slashes without gridding. But other than that, it's pretty easy. Again, the sword slash method is the same starting screen, 2 buffered sword slashes, and an entry. Win. And probably win. So hopefully that helps. I'm not going to go into any... Like, you could do money-making game infinitely, as long as you have a setup. To get the blue ring in first and second quest, the gold IL for that does 5 in a row. And that's just means you have a setup. The first 3 setups are carbon copies, the 4th one's a little nuanced, and the 5th one's a little bit nuanced. It's not like you just repeat it over and over again to keep winning. Like, you have to get on the correct frame rule to get the win. Yeah, well, I made it look easy because I practiced, but honestly, this took me probably like less than 10 minutes to learn. And then whenever I play a game of this, I always just start my game like this. Even if it's a vanilla attempt, swordless attempt, doesn't matter. Because it just gets me in the habit of having those presses in muscle memory. And also, when I do top route, it makes the patterns a little more consistent, because I'm on the same frame rule basically every time, or at least the same range of frame rules. All right, now what you guys have been waiting for, we'll do week 0, day 2 IL roll, because why not, right? So let me pull that up real quick.